All right, what's going on? Happy Monday, everybody. It's your boy Macho in the building. Right now, we got Savory. Hey, there he is. That's Savory. Over the weekend, Savory, I had some bad news. I know you gave me a call right after because you were watching the live. but and excuse me, guys, I'm a little bit under the weather, but battling through. Um, we're having a conversation about why does politics separate people when it should actually be acting as a bridge, right?
Mhm.
Everyone comes to the table, bring their
This was
differences to the
great,
table, and
man.
have their conversation. It was going so well, and then all of a sudden, I did the atrocity of making a comparison to blacks that you should never do. And
Never.
that is when people kept saying you can't have conversations with Trumpers. And I kept hearing this over and over. This is over a course of many, many weeks, obviously.
Mhm.
And so I addressed that comment by saying, stop calling people that name. It invalidates who they are. It's the comparison of calling someone the N word. And when I did that, everyone's in a frenzy. Everyone went nuts. So the
It's crazy
person that
though.
was just about to get onto the box, I don't know if it was her that reported me, but I know that there were several people saying that I should be reported. So don't give me gas to light a house up. So they banded my live, right? So then I tell my fiance, my lovely fiance says, "You got banned for that?" I know why, because you can't do that, right? And I say, "Yeah, but that's crazy." She's then sits down for a second after she gave me a little verbal papao, which is a spanking. Like, don't do that, right? She sits down for like a few minutes and she comes back, say, "You said just after me and you had a conversation, right?" She goes, "But wait a minute. What about all the other racial slurs that get said and no one does anything about it?" She's like, "I
Exactly.
always see it. But the problem is what you did was towards blacks. What they do is towards whites.
Yeah.
No
That's
harm, no
acceptable.
foul." So I said, "Wait a second, wait a second, wait a minute." She's like, "Yeah, you never heard of Modern Warrior?" I said,
Mhm.
"What? Who's this guy?" So then I started looking him up and I said, "Wow, this is some explosive stuff.
Oh yeah.
Three
Straight up
million followers?
colonizer, white man, and all. It's crazy. And
And the
and again,
support. And the
is what is
support he
exactly
gets."
what she says. Again, this line. can be switched. The line can be moved as they please. The same thing I warned to for people with Twitter. Twitter started going all out with this, and I was like, look, it's not
Yes,
going to stop
yes.
now. And then by the time the election came, we saw what happened. Not only the president, but voices were being shut down. So.
Conservative voices, to be exact. It was very targeted, and again, this is how you know that people of color have the pervasive ideology in
Mm-hmm.
society that an app who makes these same comparisons that people of color do, or somehow I'm being attacked by using that too as well. By the way, I don't know if you know that, Savory. In my comment section is getting lit up. Who's people of color? I didn't know that was black people. Okay, y'all want to play around? I'll play. I'll play. Don't light up my house because I
Yo,
will throw the gas in there.
this is out of
And I
control.
simply just said, listen, I don't really want to play this game right now, but y'all need to stop playing with y'all skin color because y'all have the privilege in this society and y'all dictating policy here, and this is terrible. Don't make it. Burgess Owens, I've said it before on this show. I'm going to say it again. Burgess Owens said one of the biggest things his mom told him is, "Don't let a racist turn you into one."
Mm-hmm.
And this was when he was growing up in the Jim Crow South. His mom told him this. There was some sense being taught to these young men back then. Don't let a racist turn you into one. And what do you see around society with young black people? Letting a racist turn them into one. And this is terrible because of the skipping generations. And I'm tired of this ideology of like we're living in the Jim Crow era. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
As Jason Riley said, the battle has been fought and won. Act like it. So that's why I get frustrated because they're nefarious people who lie.
No, it's
And
fair, man. I was in your
yeah,
live just so people can hear this thought on this. I was in your live. It was yeah, he appealed the ban.
I
They
did. They
yeah,
upheld it.
yeah. Yeah, they
They
upheld
said
it,
that's
unfortunately.
hateful behavior. Hateful behavior. That's why I said, Savory, don't
Again,
light up my house
subjective.
because I will add gas. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this joint is subjective, man, because again, they can move that line whenever they want, man. But yeah,
All
let's
right,
kick
let's
it
do
off,
this.
man. I know y'all see the title here. Joe Manchin, voting
Who is
no,
this guy? Who is this
build
guy?
back better. We got Charlemagne the God. I don't know if we got that clip for later, but also challenging who's president. He kind of went in on that. Wow, I was surprised, but
What a faux pas. What a slip
I
up.
was
I'm gonna
like,
pull that video up later.
yeah, you know
What a
what?
slip up
Yeah, I was
by
like, let's pull up, yeah.
VP Harris. And again, she did that twice in 1 week, by the way. I don't know if you know that. She did that slip up. She also said that we didn't see Delta coming. We didn't see Omicron coming. And then your boy, your favorite doctor in the universe, had to clean up shop with that. Said, "Oh yeah, she was taken out of context."
Oh yeah, of
You
course,
got to be
of
kidding me.
course,
She was not
of
taken out
course.
of context,
She was
bro.
taken out of context, yo. But ladies and
Y'all were
gentlemen, I
not.
think
Y'all were not as prepared as the previous administration, and
facts.
you
They
got
won't
caught on
they
your
won't
heels.
they won't admit that though. But ladies and gentlemen, let's kick it off, man. I don't know if you gave us the quick intro, but that's the man Macho right here. I'm Savory. Welcome to Drinks to the Nobody.
Let's
Yeah,
get
all
it
right,
going.
we're
Let me
gonna
get the
we're gonna kick it
intro
off
going.
straight. This intro is Joe Manchin. We're about to run this intro, but we're gonna get from the intro straight to what we're
Let's do
talking
it.
about today. What Joe Manchin said, and a quick response, and then we'll take it from there. Let's do this, babe.
What do you?
But simply goes too far.
I've always said this, Brett. If I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't.
It's just that simple.
I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
You're done. This is a no.
This is a no.
So that is right there. I'm gonna fast forward to see a quick response before we go to our next clip, but that's right there for people can see. Joe Manchin, which is a deciding voter, right? Because everybody needs to be on the same page because of how the House, the Senate, right? how the Senate is split, right? So
This
they
is
have
yeah,
to.
it passed through the House
Yeah,
already.
it has for the
And
House
now
already.
went to the Senate. And then he's already saying before the bill is being voted on, he's a no. He's coming right
Yeah.
out outright.
So again, if they know, remember they only put the vote out if they know that they're gonna get it passed, right? It's like, you behind the scenes, you're doing your thing, you know who's gonna vote yes, no, nothing wrong with that, and that's when you get into it, right? But I want to play this really quick. Let's show Ivan Omar's response to this, because I thought this was pretty interesting right here.
From relief on the right to the left, where some still think that Manchin could be swayed, and on the far left, his decision is being taken as pure betrayal.
We all knew that Senator Manchin couldn't be trusted. The excuses that he just made, I think, are a complete bull.
Progressives say they predicted that the massive spending bill would fall apart once it was decoupled from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Congress.
I've already said what I listen.
As she said,
This is why I get absolutely frustrated, and I don't want her to be the only candidate to mind her business. I got another candidate here that I want to put the mind of business on.
okay. We're voting on two of them. I like that today.
But before we get to mind your business, I definitely want to get this whole thing explained. What is Build Back Better? And who else can we hear this from? No,
I'm sure you
other.
can't explain the 2,000 pages, but
I know.
I'll trust you do your best in the key highlights. Oh, by the way, we got a few comments out here where everybody drinking. Yeah, active today. All right.
Yeah, Michigan,
straight up
Michigan's a
drinking
good dude.
Pepsi. Julie drinking Pepsi. My man Michigan, who was on the live today, drinking coffee. My man, 2 hours of sleep with the kids. Ooh. Feel for you, man.
I got some apple cider vinegar water today just to kind of
got some
help with the
coquito again.
digestion. Some
I'll bring the coquito back.
Okay. All right, so let's get to no other than candidate Joe Biden, and as he explains what is Build Back Better.
Look at America today. Over 150,000 Americans are dead from COVID-19. We have a health crisis worsened by Trump's failure to act, an economic crisis deepened by Trump's failure to get the virus under control, a racial justice crisis fanned by Trump's words of hate, a climate crisis exacerbated by Trump's denial of science, and America needs a plan to solve all of them. Over the last century, America has defined itself by rising to meet existential challenges.
This great nation will endure as it has endured.
This country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested.
America is a place where...
Of course, he's got to give a shameless plug to Big O.
Big O in the house. Let's see what he says.
But, he also had to play Kennedy here. Kennedy wouldn't agree with Joe Biden's politics.
Oh, of course not.
You remember his famous inauguration speech. It's not what your country can do for you.
It's what
you can do for your country. And that's not the modern day Democrat, but whatever.
All things are possible.
In order to meet the challenges of today, we can't just build back the way things were before. We have to build back better. We'll make the biggest investment in manufacturing and innovation since World War II, bringing back critical supply chains and ensuring the future is made in America by American workers. Today, federal investment in research and
this sounds a whole lot like something that I'm aware of.
They're just rebranding it without a racist supposedly in office now.
They rebranded this? What does this sound like to you? Because it sounds like a lot of Magna here.
Yeah, this sounds like what Trump was saying, right? We want to build here, build back. They just rebranded it. That's what they're doing. They're rebranding it. They're giving you the same messages or in different ways. But again, you're building in America. You want to do that. And then half of it, they're not going to do that. But they're kind of like playing that moderate game too a little bit. So everybody can be helped. But
this don't make any damn sense. But all right. They voted for it. 81 million, right? 81 million voted for this?
81.
Development is an all-time low. That's why I'm proposing historic research and development investment to sharpen America's competitive edge in new industries. Experts say that this $300 billion investment could help create 3 million good-paying jobs in communities all across America. There's no more consequential challenge we have to meet in the next.
I got to keep stopping this because I already know our last live, by the way. Savior, I don't know if you know it, but our last live was blocked, and it was an explosive one where we covered BLM. So I have to, yeah, we have to re-edit that joint and republish it because,
Crazy.
you got people out there that don't want some of the things that we were sharing to get out there. But anyways, he's just said $300 million investment would create what? 3 million jobs. So you're going to spend all that money to only give us 3 million jobs. But he's got all these major bills passing. All right, great job, Joe.
Next decade than the onrushing climate crisis. We'll meet this challenge by creating millions of jobs in a clean energy economy. Jobs that will ensure American automobile industry leads the world in manufacturing electric vehicles. With 500,000 charging stations all across the country.
Here we go.
We'll ensure that America has the cleanest, safest, and fastest rail system in the world.
Now y'all
We're
want
going to make
America to lead the way.
investments. So by the end of my first term, we are going to be on an irreversible course to achieve net zero emissions, economy-wide, no later than 2050.
We have already covered this whole climate change situation. That it's money, 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 money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or
Some
they're
money pit, for
actually
sure.
people, but they're hiding behind people who actually care about climate change. But these nefarious politicians and people behind the scenes are really about making a dollar.
That's
This
crazy.
is crony capitalism 101. So they all like sharks coming
Yeah.
around this whole idea
After, by the way, this is Joe Biden sharing this when, Macho? When
he
it was
was
back when it was 3 trillion, right? This is not when it was reformed down and all that, right?
oh, this is right before when he was running for president. This is Joe
Yeah,
Biden
so
candidate.
this is, remember they started with 5 trillion, went down to 3 and down to 1.7. But I want to break down after this when we're done with this so people can
Oh,
see
yeah.
an idea of where the distribution by the billions are going, right? I think that'll be interesting too.
And this is why they're attacking Joe Manchin because this is
Mhm.
stopping their money train. Here we go.
Yep.
In order to build back better, we have to prioritize our caregiving workforce and free up hardworking Americans. My plan will put 3 million Americans to work. We'll work with states to offer every 3 and 4-year-old child in America access to free, high-quality preschool. Right now, low and middle-income families spend as much as childcare. We'll make it so they won't ever have to spend 7% of their income. And we'll give more older Americans and people with disabilities the choice to get care in their home or in the community-based setting, starting with the 800,000 individuals currently on a waiting list to be able to do just that. In order to build back better, we have.
And this is again, this part right here, Savory, what you saw with the disabled, right? And what you're about to see with racial equality is tethering to the heartstrings of American people. It's literally saying, let's
Mhm.
meet the people who are either marginalized or forgotten about, and let's show that we care about them. Let's show
Oh,
that
yeah.
they're a part of our building future, our structure, where the disabled are being taken care of by their family. You know that
Yeah,
already.
and like I always say, man, they're like I tell you, their branding, right? Their messaging is better. This is the type of stuff they do because they tug at your emotions, they tug at your well-being, right? Rather than common sense and logic. And then tons of people don't question these things, and they end up passing it, right?
Yeah, foolish.
have to ensure that all Americans have opportunities to generate wealth, especially communities of color that have been historically left out of the fits of an economic recovery. That's why I'm going to take on our successful Obama-Biden Small Business Fund and scale it up to 20 times the size.
I want to clip it right there because that's where it really does end. Again, going to the whole community of color, pandering to races. That is a racist. When you pander to people like that, when you're saying they've been left out of the market, being disingenuous about. You saw that old picture they used there, Savory? About
Oh yeah.
only colored men here.
Which is
We
crazy. That's
haven't lived
branded.
under an America like that in 60 years. Why are you showing me pictures of that?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm
They
talking
do that
about.
on
This kind of
purpose.
stupidity. Yeah, this is
Branding.
ridiculous.
That's the branding, man. And you know what's happening now, right? Let me share this with the people. This is what's happening now. COVID. When have you heard of $1 trillion bills prior to COVID? So if you look historically, we were passing 100 billion to now nobody's questioning because you think this is normal in the heels of COVID. But anybody wants to look back at the past bills that Senate has passed, right? Well, we have some large ones, but large before was considered 300-400 billion, right? Five, you know what I'm saying? Now we're talking about what? We're now talking about the normalization of stimulus and government spending at the $1 trillion level. You see what I'm breaking down here?
It's just
So
terrible.
now you
So
see why
sinister.
people are worried about stuff like this. Let me share this. That bill went down from 6 trillion to now 1.7. By the way, they never wanted 6 trillion. Right? They're playing a game to get to their number. Okay, what the heck you asking for 6 trillion? You know you're not getting that. Now they got to their number, which I think personally was around that 2 trillion. They're on 1.7. Check this out. So this is some of the breakdown here. Roads and bridges, public transportation, 157 billion, railways, 66 billion, internet. Look at this, broadband internet, 65 billion. Electric grid, 65 billion. Drinking water is the budget for drinking water and everything that has to do with drinking water. They're spending 55 billion. Water storage and environmental issues, 50 billion. Airport and ports, 42 billion. Environmental remediation. So the environment that we all talk about, they're only doing 21 billion in that. Right? So again, it's an infrastructure bill. You look at it, you're like, okay, not bad, roads, bridges, but I'm gonna read one more thing so people can have a good idea.
What about the before? Like, just got a question. What about jobs? Who said that the government is there to create jobs? What are they? They a job creator?
Never have, never will, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, never have, never
Big
will.
Big O could never stand up to that. What was it Mitt Romney hitting him with? The government is not supposed to create jobs. He couldn't answer to that in the debate, as good as he was, but no one cared about it.
Yeah, no one cared.
You know who cared about it? Savory and I, when we were sitting there listening to it, we were like this. Mitt Romney has a point. Mitt Romney has a freaking point.
Let's talk about it.
Government does not create jobs, period.
So I'm going to go back to Joe Manchin, right? And then we'll keep going with these kids. But I want people to understand the reservations that I think every American should have that Joe Manchin is embodying right now. He says, I have always said, if I can't go back home and explain it, I can't vote for it, right? Despite my efforts, I cannot explain a sweeping bill. My Democratic colleagues in Washington are determined to dramatically, right? This is the statement he let out after that interview, to dramatically reshape our society in a way that leaves our country even more vulnerable to the threats we face. I cannot take a risk with staggering debt of more than 29 trillion. Inflation taxes are real and harmful to every hardworking American, from gasoline, pumps, grocery taxes. You see, what is this bill doing to what's happening? One, is not doing nothing about COVID. And number two, is not doing anything about inflation, gas prices, nothing about that. It's actually making all that worse. It's raising it. So you see why people have a concern. And Virginians, right, we saw in this past election, they have a balance there, right? Even the Democrats are more moderate. You have your extremes everywhere, but the Democrats are more moderate, and it flipped red. So he knows that if he goes back home, right? Somebody was telling me on TikTok, he hunts next to the people in the area. They're gonna give him, you know what I'm saying? He lives life with these people. So he's gonna turn their back for this bill that can't really help. It's hard.
And I applaud him, Savory. I applaud him because he is one of the rare politicians that we'll hear. If I can't explain this to my people, what he's saying is, I work for them.
Yes.
And you guys forgot about that. But I didn't. So when I go home to West Virginia and I have to explain this to them, they're going to be, what the hell are you doing? We can't sustain this. We can't live up to this. Look, we're poor as it is. What are you doing? We voted for you to help us, not to make things worse. So that's why he's doing what he's doing.
And there's a lot of debate that the true cost of this bill is upwards $4 trillion. All right.
Unbelievable.
So when they break down the true cost, right, the 1.7 is what they're showing you how to. But again, this gives them, remember, when they pass these bills of 2,000 pages, and I've read some of it. I didn't read 2,000 pages. When you read some of it, it almost gives an industry or the government the right to pull from that fund as they see please until they meet their deadline. whatever that amount of money is, you know. So it's like it's not as clear throat. So it's not 1.7 exactly, right? And last thing here, right? And then we'll keep moving here, right? The American people deserve transparency of the true cost of this bill. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office determined the cost is likely upwards 4.5 trillion, which is more than double the bill's supports have claimed. They continue to camouflage the real cause of the intent behind this bill. You see, that's a problem. He's standing up for his people. Anyways, yeah, let's keep moving. I wanted people to know this breakdown.
Very good stuff. And we got more, so keep it locked in. And for this segment of Mind Your Business, I got my favorite, Jamila Hill.
All right.
I bring up Jamila Hill because I used to look up to her.
You told me that. I remember. Yeah. Okay.
I was one of those. Jamila, I was a fan.
That's because you was in your sports. You was in your right.
I used to watch the 6.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't know. See how you know how powerful the media. Let me say this, Macho Man. I want to interrupt again really quick. That's the power of the media, right? Not you. Not only you, I've been there. There's different voices when we get caught up in a certain thing and a certain, you know what I'm saying? Like they'll influence us automatically without us knowing. But as you grow and start thinking for yourself, some people never get out of there. You realize, okay, go. Right. I totally disagree with that now. But they're training people to never question those things, you know? So.
Right. Good night, Julie. I see Julie's leaving.
Good night, Julie. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing our content, like you said. Thank you.
I could not believe the kind of stance that she took, but then I wasn't surprised. You see a person like her who rose to such high status. I'm telling you, I've watched Jamila Hill since her beginning at ESPN. She rose to the cream of the crop very quickly because she's very talented and she's very charming, right? But I'm not surprised that a person like her is going to take the political stance and going to take the race card and pull that out. Here's a clip of her here. You see Meghan McCain here on The View facing some serious questions because of the allegations she took to Twitter about our former president.
Something I've had to learn the hard way not to do as I've grown in my career. Do you still stand by what you said? And do you think that President Trump's supporters are white supremacists?
Not only did she say that supporters were white supremacists, she said that the members of his cabinet, like his administration, were white supremacists. And Meghan McCain is about to peer down on her and say, this is why you shouldn't get emotional over Twitter, because Jamila Hill was talking about how one night after the Charlottesville, she got emotional and she started attacking Trump.
I still stand by what I said. I don't think that his supporters are white supremacists. What I would say, though, is that they have the privilege, the benefit of privilege to be able to distance and disassociate themselves from certain issues. Me, as a woman of color, I feel vulnerable to certain behavior.
There goes the race card.
Here we go.
Woman of color. Woman of color.
Woman of color.
There's certain policies, certain things that he said and done. And so all of that was part of that response of feeling that vulnerability. If it doesn't impact you directly, or if you don't feel that, it's probably harder for you to understand it. And so I just ask those who do support him to understand that that perspective is coming from that place. It's not about calling you out necessarily. It's about the fact that in this time and in this moment, it feels like people of color are under attack.
What would you say to that? And I'm genuinely curious about this conversation.
People of color are not under attack, by the way. Charlottesville is not a reflection that people of color are not under attack. Again, this is what, American Ninja, he was on, I don't know if he was on your live, but he was also
he was on my live today too, yeah.
He brought up the word sophistry. Look up the definitions of that. He was dead on when he talked. That is what that is. What she just did there is sophistry. It is a lie. It is a tactic to let people know, especially young people, because they're very impressionable, to believe that they're being attacked for the color of their skin. That doesn't happen here in America.
Because I remember when it happened, being sort of taken aback. Like, what would you say to a Ben Carson, who's working in the administration?
Oh, I didn't think that through.
Would you consider him a white supremacist?
No, I mean, I wouldn't. As I said, I don't consider his supporters or everyone.
You also just said you stand by what you tweeted, which is that he's surrounded by white supremacists.
Yeah, but I wasn't talking about Ben Carson. I think we know the names that I was talking about.
But he works in the administration.
He does. I didn't say he was surrounded by everybody he was surrounded by was white.
Oh, here's the clarity. Here we go.
Here we go.
This is what
happens. How
happens.
many seconds does she use his race again?
But he said, but this is what happened. Meghan McCain said, I've had to learn not to be emotional over these things. You see what happens when you say that he's surrounded by white supremacists? Now you have to clarify. Not all, not all. No, you just said he's surrounded.
Yeah, you said that.
What
Be
about
careful
Ben
before you
Carson?
tweet. I see
What about all the
on
black
Twitter all the time.
elite people? I'm talking about black prolific leaders who supported Donald Trump. What are you saying? They're white supremacists? What game are we playing here? You know what I'm saying?
Other white supremacists. Obviously, Steve Bannon. I can go down the list of people who have at very
Steve
least
Bannon.
played footsie with white supremacists.
Playing footsie.
Footsies. Here we go.
So they're not
It went
white
from them being
supremacists.
supporters to not everyone to some people in his cabinet to now playing footsies. What's next? Let me see what's next.
Let me tell you something. So if she got caught lying because she was sleeping with somebody else, she'd be a terrible person to talk herself out of that infidelity. I mean, she is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
Like
she just said
she just
footsies.
couldn't deal. But there's a stark reality. I wanna play another clip here of her. Now you see her here. This is her again coming to her own. She's at the top part in ESPN now. She got her own segment. She got her own 6 p.m. show, primetime television. Then I guess I don't know. It was mutual that she left, and then now look at her. I want to get a different take here on her. Then we're gonna go to the Mind Your Business vote.
I'm voting right now. I can't wait.
Oh, you can't wait.
She's horrible. I'm sorry. I can't wait. That's horrible, bro. I'm glad she had
Why
a
is it?
previous
Why is
fan
it
in you.
horrible? Why is it horrible? Tell us that.
Again, you could tell she made a reaction out of straight emotion, and now she can't even admit that it was a foolish tweet. Now she's trying to defend the tweet. While defending the tweet, she's saying a whole bunch of nonsense that's not coherent right now. Oh, not all of them, but some of them. Oh, Steve Bannon. Oh, not everybody. Oh, no, what, bro? Like,
And what are
sit
you
down.
talking about holding you back or pressing
Sit down.
There's no such thing when you see the person next to you, Whoopi Goldberg, she's been doing this for years. She was also a movie star, a movie actress in the days where you guys are claiming you were oppressed.
Well, she was
Lies,
oppressed during that time,
lies,
too.
lies. Here she goes again, Jamila.
Move the needle and the meter so far when it comes to discussing racism is the fact that so many people, particularly white people, those in power positions like Rand Paul in particular, they feel too defensive. They're in their feelings, and they do not
You're in your
understand
feelings.
how they have aligned themselves with these views. I know it's not the word white supremacy in their mind is more awful than white supremacist behavior, but the very notion and idea that whiteness is prioritized, centered, considered to be better than, they don't get that that's what that means. It, I know nobody likes the label of being called a racist. To date, I've never seen anyone stand up and say, hey, I'm a racist or a white supremacist. But nevertheless, when you constantly support policies that follow these ideologies, you're going to have to work.
And this was in response. She attacked this was an attack on Rand Paul over the anti-lynching bill. And he's done more for the anti-lynching bill than any other senator currently sitting in office, only because he voted against a particular topic in the anti-lynching bill, which is why he didn't vote the bill in, because he wanted to fix something that was systemically wrong with it. He wanted to fix it, Savory. He's not against the anti-lynching bill. He wanted to fix it.
What's up with your
But
girl, man?
she took it and ran with it. Again, she's saying they're stuck in their feelings. Again, playing the race card. She sounds charming. She sounds so charming. It sounds believable. But it's a lie. It couldn't be more wrong. And this is why I vote for her to mind her business. And here's why she's on this. Here's why she's on this show. Because in the whole voting against the filibuster, guess who's at the center of the table of topic? Joe Manchin, and she tweeted this. This is so on brand for this country. This is so on brand for this country. Record number of black voters show up to save this democracy, only for white supremacy to upheld by a cowardly, power-hungry white dude, calling Senator Joe Manchin a clown. This is the kind of people black people look up to. This is the kind of people black people look up to. The idiots like that. And that's why I say she needs to mind damn business.
Give me a damn break, man. Give me a damn break
Unbelievable.
with these people. Like when I say unbelievable, when you saying like these people like should like be ignored, right? I won't say shut up, dude. Say what you people should ignore these people. Like when it comes to politics, change the channel. If these ESPN anchors continue to talk about politics, just change the damn channel.
She should be sued for calling him a clown. She should be sued by misrepresenting what Rand Paul actually did. Those are all defamatory, and she should have been sued in open court and lost a lot of money. You cannot go around. But you know why they won't sue her? Because she's a woman of color. She's a woman of color. Pervasive ideology. Does anyone know what that means? It means you have privilege. It means your ideology is at the top of the top. That means anyone trying to attack it, oh my God, you're a white supremacist. Anyone trying to block or obstruct this, you're a white supremacist. It's terrible, folks.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible, man.
Terrible. So what is your vote?
I want to play. My vote was off the top without seeing that clip. That woman should mind her damn business, man. I want to transition to this clip, man. I know you have Sam right there. Mine will be pretty quick here, right? And I want to show people Bernie Sanders' reaction, right? Because I think it's timely to these kind of emotional responses that we get. And Bernie Sanders is also known for that. So this reaction for me is like, man, I just smile because it's so on brand with him.
Special interest. We have no Republican support. Not one Republican in the United States Senate or the House, for that matter, is prepared to stand up to the drug companies or the insurance companies or the wealthy.
Oh, God.
I would hope we would.
So by the way, that bill is doing none of that. This is why this is so on brand with him. Again, I haven't read the 2,000 pages. From what I've seen and what I've read, I see nothing of you stopping these. I don't know. This is so confusing. But anyways, let's continue.
We would have had 50 Democrats. But if that is the case, then I hope that we will bring a strong bill to the floor of the Senate as soon as we can and let Mr. Manchin explain to the people of West Virginia why he doesn't have the guts to stand up for powerful special interests.
He can't.
The guts.
He can't explain to them. He just said it. If I can't explain it to them, I'm not going to vote for it.
Exactly his words too.
Are you listening? Again, here's a politician that doesn't listen, is not listening. Why you think he's not agreeing with you? And they could have been in agreement. Maybe I'll play the game. Maybe Jen Psaki, when she responded to this, maybe he did agree behind closed doors. Maybe Joe Manchin did agree. But if you didn't agree with his terms, why would he not? He can't back out? What? This is a communist country?
Again, Bernie Sanders comes in and look, he gives this kind of emotional response every time.
So you want to vote on it no matter what, even if...
Absolutely. The American people have got to understand what is at stake. For decades now, what Congress has been doing, giving tax breaks to the rich, not standing up to the drug companies, so that we end up paying the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, ignoring climate change. The President of the United States and almost every Democrat is trying
Who's ignoring climate change
to address these issues.
Did you know this was coming?
Mr. Manchin doesn't want to support us. Well, look, we've been dealing with Mr. Manchin for month after month after month. But if he doesn't have the courage to do the right thing for the working families of West Virginia and America, let him vote no in front of the whole world.
So how do
In other words, Bernie Sanders wants to play politics, right? He wants to continue the political games, knowing that he's going to vote
having
no.
a margarita. He's going to have a margarita with Joe right now.
This is what you call politics. I want people to understand this is politics. You let your emotions take over. You let your agenda take over. You talk about climate change. You talk about all these things. You talk about taxes again. You go back to your talking points. It has nothing to do with Build Back Better and the issue at hand, and then portray that on or project that on the on Joe Manchin. So tell me how this had any. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
I mean, we could go all day on this. This is just absolutely terrible. We have one quick video before we move to the Nobody versus the Experts here.
How it is related to him being the #1 recipient of oil, gas, and coal money in the U.S. Senate.
Well, thank you so much, Amy, for having me. I think it is really important for people to understand just the level of obstruction that this one senator is causing to the agenda of the president and everything we are trying to accomplish as Democrats on behalf of the American people. So for so long, people have said Washington is corrupt. They're not watching out for the interest of the people, and what's playing out right now.
Not watching out for the interests of the people. Again, another person who should mind their business and just have the conversation. Why won't you vote for it, Joe? Why don't you have the conversation first? What's going on, Joe?
What's going on, Joe? Talk to us.
Where could we meet in the middle? Where could we meet in the middle? You know what I'm saying? And this is where I get frustrated. But let's move into this next segment and have this conversation. Us nobodies.
Felicia said, is she getting deported or not?
Oh my God! I sure hope she gets deported because it's just absolutely atrocious. What's going on, and some of the explanations that you see on liberal media here as to how they support or how they look at the Build Back Better and what it's supposed to do versus what Savory was reading earlier.
Being covered by Medicare. Finally, a hard cap on what anyone on Medicare has to pay out of pocket in any 1 year for their prescriptions.
Big O again.
Reasonable. Why didn't we do that before? Also, finally, relief for Americans who use insulin. Insulin used to be cheap. It has recently become not only not cheap, but totally unpredictable in its pricing. Some people's outlay going out over $1,000 a month.
Yeah, why is that happening with inflationary prices? Of course, they're gonna make everything look bad so they can pass this bill so everything goes back down. Not realizing some of the experts are saying the inflation is going to drive actually high up. And they're going to figure out other ways to go, well, if this is the problem, then we have to fix that. We have to combat it with this.
Oh, man, they're ignoring that, though.
If you need insulin, it's not like optional. You need insulin. Well, now, under this bill, the cost for anybody who needs insulin will be capped at $35 a month for your insulin. Finally, the first ever federal paid leave program. You have a family member who's sick, an older parent or grandparent who's had some sort of medical crisis, or maybe you've got the happy news of a new baby in the family. 4 weeks paid family and medical leave. The first.
I don't know how Build Back Better is going to solve on a plan already that exists. It already exists. I don't know if anyone's understanding this. Like when people at my job take FMLA, and they go off because they just had the birth of their child, they get paid 3/4 of their check. If you had to
not
take
enough,
care of
not
member,
enough, Macho. Pay them for the
if
year.
you had to take care of your family member, you have to take care of yourself because you're injured. You get 3/4 of your check. So what is Build Back Better gonna do? It's already working. It's already happening. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what are they selling? Water to a fish? When you live in water? I don't understand. So again, I don't understand how we got here. And the last part here that I want to share, these couple of videos here of two experts breaking down. I guess they go back and forth here. But before I do that, why don't we go to Cori Bush and some of her response to Joe Manchin here, by the way.
Ayanna Pressley was among the Democrats expressing outrage this morning after her fellow Democrat, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, announced that he will not vote for the Build Back Better Act, effectively killing the legislation in its current form. Joining me now for more reaction, Congresswoman Cori Bush, Democrat from Missouri. Congresswoman Bush, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday show. Your reaction to the news announced by Senator Manchin.
So, first of all, it is not a huge surprise. We have been, and let me be clear, there are 6 of us who had been saying this all along. Representative Ocasio-Cortez, Representative Presley, Representative Tlaib, Representative Bowman, Representative Omar, and myself. We have been saying this for weeks that this would happen, and we took the hits. We were told that we were anti our caucus, we were anti-democracy, we were anti this and that. When actually what we were and what we still are is pro the people, because the people have to be first. The people have to win.
That's news to me.
So when I think about this this was a no all along. And so what we had was a bit of leverage, which was having the coupling of the two bills, the BIF, the infrastructure package, as well as the Build Back Better Act. Having those coupled together was the only leverage we had. And what did the caucus do? We tossed it, and for me, it's really, it's sad. It's sad for us to say, let's look good instead of being good. Let's look.
So just want to do that transition from one to the other because it's super relevant right here.
Yeah.
So this is one person and we can speak on both of them together, I feel like. So that's a good transition because, again, she said the squad, right?
Yeah.
So let's play a little let's play what the squad was saying right now.
We have every right to be furious with Joe Manchin, but it's really up to leadership in the Democratic Party who made the decision to get us to this juncture and how we're going to move forward. And I think right now that Democratic leadership has a very large number of tools at their disposal, the president particularly, and it's really about time that we take the kid gloves off and we start using them to govern for working families in this country.
So again, she's advocating for the political language there to try to find a new way, all right, to pass this bill that's not through the Senate. Anyways, right quick here.
Well, Congresswoman, you said yesterday that you were not upset with Joe Manchin as much as you were with Democratic leaders. And let's, as my grandmother from Dalton, Georgia used to say, let's just take the rag off the churn. That starts with the President of the United States, doesn't it? He's the one who shook hands with Joe Manchin. They said they had an agreement on $1.75 trillion.
So she just explains there, just so the people is a little more faster, but then she explains about taking measures into their own hands, right? So now having the party not going through the Senate, and now it's like Joe Manchin lied all along. So this man is about to feel the heat from the progressive left these next few weeks into the end of this year and probably beyond. They're gonna turn up the heat on this man. Every media outlet is talking about him.
Oh yeah, and the thing that gets me about this whole thing is you have the squad. When the squad gets together in unison about this, I'm already seeing there's some nefarious things behind this because they have not been right on anything. She says, "Oh, we took the heat." You take the heat because you guys are wrong most of the time. Absolutely wrong. And you think through your emotions, not through your rationale. And that's why you guys take the heat.
This will be 2 seconds, but this was a tweet of her. When a handful of us in the House warned this would happen if them leaders gave Manchin everything he wanted, first by moving and before the BBB, that's Build Back Better, instead of passing together, many ridiculed our position. Maybe they'll believe us next time. Or maybe we'll just keep calling us naive. That's her talking for what? The squad. That's the squad that was telling him, don't trust Manchin, whatever. You know why? Because they knew Manchin was too moderate, had too much common sense all along. So they knew he was a problem. That's really the reality of it. They know that he's a true democratic, balanced senator. You know what I'm saying? Like the way when you look at his speeches, how he speaks, what he stands up for. So they knew they were in danger. But it came out. I actually thought he wasn't going to turn like this because that would be a lot for him, the whole party against him. So he actually did it. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that clip here of how disorganized this administration is as a whole, not only on this particular topic with the Build Back Better, but even with VP Harris, right? Yeah. Where Charlemagne the God literally asked her, who's the president of the United States? Is it Joe Manchin or is it Joe Biden? I was trying to find it here just to cue it up. I found the entire interview, but I don't remember the timestamp on where. But she had some very explosive stuff to say. So let me go ahead and play this. What the problems are with Build Back Better and what the experts are saying with the inflationary prices?
Well, it's a vicious cycle, right? When we were at $20 trillion worth of debt at the country and the interest rates were about 2%, even I can do the math on that. We had a $400 billion tax bill. When you go to 30 trillion and they say the Fed wants to raise interest rates to say 6%, that's $1.8 trillion worth of interest only. So yeah, the Fed really is in a box, but they're mostly in a box. Let's be honest, because Congress put them there. If the national debt were zero, there'd be a lot more flexibility towards the Fed. Don't also discount, I don't think Kevin mentioned this, the fact that the Fed is politicized now with both parties watching so closely whether or not Jay Powell got renominated and will get reconfirmed. You've got folks like AOC saying that she thinks that Biden should be focusing more on having the Fed work on racial justice. So the Fed is becoming politicized as well. But we're in the box because of the size of the debt. And this bill just adds to it. You're absolutely right. Let's say that the pre-K thing only lasts for 6 years and that another Congress wants to extend it. That means they'd have to raise taxes without giving anybody anything that's new. That never happens. So what happens is...
There you go. You have to raise taxes before giving. That right there is a big problem with the Build Back Better. That's the first and foremost problem. And here's another response from the other side of the coin here. Go ahead.
I would go as far to say that's a problem for any bill being passed, right? Even when the Republicans are pushing something, you realize people think it doesn't come at a cost. There's this video on TikTok where the guy's going around and saying, "Hey, we're promoting free college. Hey, come sign and help us out," right? You seen this one, right? So the guy comes, right? They come and they say, "Oh, free college." They start signing their name. They do it and they say, "Hey, on the right side, the final thing is please put the percentage of your salary that you would like to donate yearly for this movement." every single person goes, I don't know about this. I'm sorry. Next time. Why? Because again, it's really not free. So the guy keeps asking. He has like 4 people. He's like, "Hey, can you put just a percentage? Anything you want to put that you want to donate from your salary?"
But they call it a whataboutism. That's a whataboutism, right? It's free. It's free. The government, we should all pay our fair share so that there is free college. It's not free if you're paying for it. Stop saying free. Here's another side of the coin of that discussion.
Some states that are bluer, and I don't, you need him. You can't just pass the damn thing. If Manchin doesn't got one, he's drawn certain lines in the sand or in this bill that would have to come out, and then it would have to go back to the House. So it just seems like a hard thing to imagine before the end of this year.
Well, I do think that there are things that West Virginians do care about. They care about universal pre-K. I mean, if you look at West Virginia in terms of where it stands on education, universal pre-K would help tremendously. They care about child tax credit and the child care provisions. These are things that actually help working people. Medicaid expansion, lowering prescription drug cost prices. These are things that West Virginians and that Americans care about. And I do think that there is a way to accommodate Joe Manchin's concerns.
1% of the
those
bill.
are things that he's expressed an interest in, and to move a package forward that's going to make a difference, not just today, but in the future.
Bro, that's 1% of the bill.
Nobody.
That's 1% of the bill.
All that costs. All I hear is cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
So prior to Joe Manchin, we got the Charlamagne the God clip that I'm about to roll for us. But you know what? An idea came to mind, right? I'll make this quick. Tell me what you think about this idea. I feel when a bill gets passed, right, we should have debate per section being, again, right? My first idea that I shared before is that these bills shouldn't be more than 100 pages. Shouldn't be longer than a freaking novel, right? If I can't read it as a novel and see what's happening in the freaking country,
is a novel.
Exactly. Like that's like the max. Like, all right, a small novel that we read and and people can have to actually get the time to read it in the middle of their life and all that the American citizen can read it. Number 2, it should be a debate, actual debate, not a debate just saying, "Oh, Build Back Better, unsealing that." No, what's in the bill? Let one side debate how it's going to help the people and the other side debate what's the effects of the country.
Right.
that would think I would solve a lot. But anyway, so
Have it in
let's
bullet form. Discuss it. Have a Senate judicial hearing over it,
that
and
would
try
be
to see
great.
how
Oof.
would it help? How would it not help? Let
First
it
of all,
go through. Let it go through the peer review discussion.
yeah.
Let them weigh in what they can and what they can't do. What is feasible? What is unfeasible? What is logical? What is illogical? What is rational? What is irrational?
Yes,
Go through
yes.
all of
I
that.
will never have $1 trillion price tag on any bill
Oh,
because you
hell
can't
no.
really explain that. You see, you see how you eliminate all that right away, all that foolishness.
One, you're not supposed to create jobs. You're not create. That's
Macho,
not your
find
job.
me a bill prior to COVID that was ever passed that was $1 trillion. Why are we pretending that $1 trillion is the norm? No government spending has ever reached that. When Obama got to $1 trillion, it was 200 billion here, 150 here. Over time, now they're passing a sweeping 1.7.
Yeah.
And they asked for 6.
It
Again,
started
let's
with,
keep
it
in
started
mind,
with
it started with COVID,
it started
guys.
with the Trump. It started with the Trump administration passing that.
It did.
$1
It
trillion
started
bill.
with
And
that last bill that I tell you
that's
that
the
he
gift
did.
that keeps on
And
giving
that's
now.
it.
All of a sudden.
All right, let's
But
play.
I see you have a last clip here.
Yeah.
I got no sound out of it.
Huh?
There's no sound coming out of it for some reason.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, I hear the sound here. Do y'all hear it or no?
No, I don't hear any sound.
Oh, man. Here?
I still don't hear the sound. What's the
All right, cool.
timestamp on it?
I started on 110.
110?
Mm-hmm. But it's all right. We can pull that one up on our end. For some reason, I'm hearing it, but it's not sounding here. They're saying so. Yeah.
I don't know why it's not coming up, but here we go. Let's just play it on this end here.
And, Trump will be president again. What's the plan for all of that?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more on the seriousness of these issues and how people take these issues seriously.
All right, who's the superhero that's going to speak against Joe Manchin? No. I want to know who's the real president of this country. Is it Joe Biden or Joe Manchin?
I'm sorry, I just want to interrupt, and I think the vice president can hear you. It's Simone.
The staff trying to stop me.
She can hear me.
Technical difficulties.
Technical
difficulties.
Can you hear me, Madam Vice President?
Technical difficulties.
Sorry, you got it back.
Oh.
So,
All right,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
They're acting like they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, so who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlamagne.
Come
it's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
I don't know what's going on. Is that a sound on my end here?
That's my end.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, well, I think my alarm is going off. But
that's on my end.
Yeah, again, you see another example of how the left cannot deal with some of these discussions. Kamala Harris has dealt with a question, and now the staff, everyone's prepared to not deal with that kind of confrontation. But they're the ones that bring the smoke. They're the ones that come and confront. Who's really running this country? They're okay with doing all that. They're okay with calling the previous president a white supremacist. They're okay with doing all those things. But when it's time for them to face the noise, look at how emotional they get. I cannot follow a person that gets overly emotional, irrational, and unreasonable. Don't start talking like a Republican. That makes no sense. Don't start talking like, no, they're Americans. Before we have any party affiliation, we are Americans.
Excuses.
Don't make excuses to cover up your illegitimacy. Don't make excuses to cover up what the issue is. Joe Manchin is the problem, just like Liz Cheney was the problem in the GOP. The only difference between the two is Joe Manchin is not a Joe Biden hater. Liz Cheney was a Trump hater. That's the only difference, Savory, in my opinion. She hated Trump. She didn't want nothing to do with him and wanted to do every effort to thwart him from the inside out. Yeah. Joe Manchin is not doing that. He's saying, hey, I'm on your side, but I can't rationalize this in West Virginia. That's the only difference. That's a real politician standing up against the mass narrative. Kudos to him.
Kudos for sure, because that's something we often do not see, you know. So all right, so sip on facts, right? Let's go through this quick details on this bill to kind of give people some detail on the national debt, this bill, and the impact it had here, right? So since January 20, the national debt has increased by $5.7 trillion.
Oof.
3.2 trillion, which was monetized by the Fed with quantitative easing. Right, that's a fancy way of saying, I'll explain it to the people really quick. It's quantitative easing is when the central banks, right, the federal level, lower their interest rate. So more of us, the American people, can get credit cards, get homes, get a car. So they lower the interest rate to 0 so the banks can borrow money at 1 or 2%. They usually do at 2. So they try to, which you see everybody was buying homes and all that. That's quantitative easing. So they shot the interest rate down. So we have better strategies because we learned from 2008, right? Even though those are not lasting strategies. Anyways, me keep going. Ensuring the recession it caused, right? 27 trillion responded to the COVID pandemic, state-led lockdowns ensuing. All right here. First, it was 2.2 trillion for the CARES Act, and then 900 billion phase under President Donald Trump, and then 1.9 trillion stimulus bill, and then 1.2 trillion infrastructure bill under President Joe Biden being passed. That's 5.5 trillion of new spending in the past 2 years.
Wow.
And then an added bonus. We have been in existence in this country over 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told Macho this. We have printed 40% of all the money we have ever printed when COVID started until now.
Yeah.
Which means that at every $100 billion in 250 years of existence, we printed 40 billion of that money in the past 2 years. Again, this is why inflation is going to hit. There's no escape.
But instead, you want a Build Back Better plan that put us more in debt.
Yeah.
You want to close down the economy because of Omicron. You want to do all this stuff knowing that it's going to hurt us even more. You're supposed to be encouraging Americans, not making them live in fear even more. You're supposed to strengthen the economy, not hurt the economy. And that's what we're getting. So when anyone says anything, oh, what did the Trump administration do? I'll tell you what he didn't do. He didn't do what Joe Biden's currently doing. Happy Monday, everybody. Have a good night.
Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You already know where to find us. We went down. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like, share. We appreciate y'all. Much love. We see you tomorrow, man.